Brittney Griner is in fact a hostage. She's a hostage. The American government has basically said so. Let's put a picture up for mass. The Biden administration has determined that WNBA star Brittney Griner is in fact a hostage. Now, they are saying things like wrongfully detained in Russia. But let me break this down, okay? Griner's agent, Lindsay Kalos, said, quote, Brittney has been detained for 75 days, and our expectation is that the White House do whatever is necessary to bring her home. So this may get more news and more press as the week continues. ESPN first reported the classification in Griner's case. 2 United States officials confirmed it on the condition of anonymity because they are not authorized to discuss it by name. So they're trying to keep this top secret, hush, hush, but she is in fact a hostage. I will provide background. It was unclear what prompted the shift in approach to Griner's case, though President Joe Biden's administration had been under pressure from members of Congress and others to make her release a priority. Additional background, Griner was detained at an airport in February after Russian authorities said a search of her bag revealed vape cartridges containing an oil derived from cannabis. Since then, US officials stopped short of classifying the Phoenix Mercury player as wrongfully detained and said instead that their focus was on ensuring she had access in jail to American consular affairs officials, okay? Now, the US officials, even though they've shifted supervision of her case to a State Department section, the Office of the Special Presidential Envoy for Hostage Affairs, you heard that right, hostage affairs, that is focused on negotiating for the release of hostages and other Americans classified as being wrongfully detained in other countries. They have been saying this from day one. Here's the reality of what's happening. She's stuck, she's trapped, she's a hostage in a foreign nation. That's what's happening, okay? Now, before all of this went down, the State Department was aware that Russian authorities were looking to detain, wrongfully detain American citizens. You know why I know the State Department knew this? Because they said it. They told Americans, don't travel. Russia, they are starting to detain people for questionable things. They were well aware of the operation before this happened, all right? So she's not just wrongfully detained, she is in fact a hostage in Russia. All right, Adrian, thoughts on this case?
So the thing we know about Russia and their legal system is that when it comes to convictions, they have over a 99% conviction rate. It is less than 1% in terms of acquittal. So if you're charged with anything, you are going to be convicted. And they know this of Brittney Griner, whether the charges are legit or not. And I completely and totally doubt that. The fact is that the Russian system, as you mentioned, they were looking for Americans to detain, and they happened to get a 2-time gold medalist who happens to be the star of the WNBA. And it's very scary, her being there, in part because we don't know necessarily what the US has to potentially trade for her. We just saw they brought back Trevor Reed in a swap that involved Konstantin Yaronchenko. He was a drug smuggler that we had here in prison, and we knew that Russia wanted him back. The thing is now that that's off the table, there is only one other person, and that's Victor Bout, known as I believe like the Minister of Death, or that he essentially he's a weapons trafficker. And the thought that the US would trade for her, I don't necessarily know that they would let this weapons trafficker go. And so it's the question of what is the US gonna do in terms of getting her out if it's going to be a viable swap. And it's a question of will she be able to get home, or is she going to end up in that system and never necessarily be able to get out since she's facing up to 10 years in prison?
Yep, very well said.